Today we're going to be talking about the Mondraker Sly R. This is the mid-level SL model e-bike that Mondraker offers. Its price point is $5,600. For this review, I tested the medium large, and as far as the suspension goes for this bike, it is a 160/150 mil setup. Some of the changes for the sake of the review that we made was putting on a mudguard, changing the grips to some DMR death grips, cutting down the handlebars to make them a little bit narrower, and we also swapped the matchmaker bit that was included because it kept jabbing into my thumb. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I have worked in professional shops for the last 7 years of my life, and I've mainly ridden high-end bikes because I've gotten really good employee discounts on nice bikes. And I have a background in cross-country racing, mainly, not so much downhill. I wish I did more downhill, but it just is what it is. Primarily, I do ride an enduro when I go out and ride on a day-to-day basis. Don't really ride an XC bike anymore. So let's talk about the highlights of the bike. Let's start with the components. Diving into the fork, it didn't seem like it was going to be the biggest deal, but it was a really nice fork, and I think one adjustment is better than having multiple for this bike because it just simplifies things. The brakes performed beyond my expectation. I didn't think these SRAM DB8s were going to feel amazing. This is the first time that I've ever ridden on them, and they had a lot of power. Some of the steep stuff didn't mix well with the brakes because they would get kind of hot, but overall they felt pretty good. The transmission drivetrain performed as expected. I mean, I've ridden transmission before and it shifts real smoothly, and I couldn't really complain about anything on it. The cockpit on the bike was pretty strong. The stem is kind of an interesting design that I've never seen before. The Mavic wheels felt pretty stiff. I really couldn't complain about like flex or anything. They felt strong, which I prefer for corners, and I really enjoy them. The dropper post was really nice. It moved really fast, faster than most of the cable actuated posts I've tried before. So now we could talk about some of the highlights of the frame. The geometry felt amazing. It's honestly better than any bike I've ever felt before. I wish that I could get one of these Mondrakers in a medium large and an enduro model, but they currently don't have any non-electric bikes in a medium large. It's honestly perfect for someone who's around 5'11". The seat is very slammable too with the dropper post that they included, so I was able to get pretty low on the bike without worrying about the seat hitting me on the descents. The wheelbase was really good. It felt great. It was a 1265 millimeters. I think compared to my enduro is very similar, but just overall it felt really good. I don't know what it is about this bike, but it really gives off a mullet vibe in terms of the geometry. When riding it, the back end is really flickable. I was surprised that the 29ers turned as well as they did. I find that sometimes I struggle on my enduro set up in full 29 to rail corners as hard as this Mondraker did. So some of the cons that I have to point out is that there was some mild fork flex when going through high-speed chatter, which is expected because these are 35 millimeter stanchions, and this is not the toughest fork that RockShox makes. This is like the mid-tier e-bike. I think maybe a bigger fork might handle the chatter a little bit better, but when you kind of went through some of the fast tech, you could notice the flex in it. Another problem I kind of had with the bike was the charging port. I know most charging ports on e-bikes are kind of weird too, but this one was in an awkward position where placing the cord in for the first time was like so confusing. I really didn't know like which way it went in because there's only one way for the cord to go in. And it also kind of bends the cable when you put it in the frame, which kind of weirded me out, but I mean, maybe Bosch will come up with a different charging design or like an adapter so that you're not gonna, mess up your cable. It is a pretty thick cable though. I wouldn't expect to be riding this bike all day long because the battery will die. I would imagine with a range extender, you could get a little bit more out of it, but battery does not last that long if you're climbing steep grades. So you just kind of have to keep that in mind. Longer rides, you really have to put it on the eco or tour mode, just because you really have to work with saving battery. The digital display does bike, like show you how much power you're outputting and like your cadence, which is really nice. So as long as you match a certain cadence, you can really like save the life of the battery over the course of the ride. So some of my overall takeaways with this bike is that it's a good bike for beginners and advanced riders, with plenty of power where you need it, from the brakes to the motor to the drivetrain. It is a lightweight and fairly maneuverable bike, sitting at 46 pounds. And it is a simplistic design that is targeted towards the half-day rider. I wouldn't say the full-day rider, because that's probably where you would want the full power, big battery e-bike. So the components are really durable on the bike, and with its design, there's just minimal maintenance aside from just, you know, replacing your chain, tires, and brake pads. And this bike also has transmission, so you really don't have to worry about adjusting the derailleur much. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the review of this bike. If you're looking to get one of these e-bikes, I would head over to AJ's Family Cyclery in Livermore, California. He has them. If you contact him, he could work with you on getting one of these bikes in so that you could take one out to the trails yourself.